we're starting a new chapter, another short one. All right, Nash. Shh. All right, so this is more of a repeat of grade 7. So all your grade 7 teachers have done it, and you probably forgot most of the steps. So the main thing I'm going to do this year is try to get you ready for grade 9. Right? So the grade 8 version of this chapter is not too difficult. Right? At least I hope it's not too difficult. And that's what the problem with the grade 8 one is. Because a lot of you guys can look at the questions I give you and you can probably guess at some of the answers. Right? Let's go like this. Let's start off with our name. I'll get into more detail here. All right? Dhaliwal, we are block H. Okay? So, let's go to our first set of notes here on the very first page. All right? So let's go to this corner here. All right? Here, you don't need to write this down quite yet. We are trying to figure out
8.
What is the value of the letter? And Jaden already says 8, right? Because it's, the way you look at it is something plus 5 is 13. And the answer is 8, right? And you can, a lot of these questions, you'll be able to figure out just like that. Now the problem with that method is called inspection. And so in grade 8, the numbers are nice round whole numbers, which makes it easy for some of you guys with really good math sense to figure out the answers. But then you start taking shortcuts, and you don't learn the rules of how to solve. This is called solving equations. And then when you get to the grade 9 stuff, you get kind of lost. So the purpose of grade 8 is to really cement the rules of how do you solve equations from grade 7. Because, yeah, this is how grade 8 stuff looks like. I finished this chapter with my grade 9s 2 weeks ago. So the grade 9 chapter, let's go here. Grade 9s, that was unit 5 for the grade 9s. This is how the grade 9 equations look like. Stuff like this, right? So it goes from very simple looking stuff in grade 8 into more complicated looking stuff. But all the rules you learn in grade 8 are the exact same rules in grade 9. So I'm going to teach you how to do it in a certain way so we can do questions like this next year without too much grief. Right? Most people find this chapter not too bad when they get to grade 9. All right? So let's go back to our class right here. All right? All right. So instead of using the inspection method, which for a lot of you guys that can make common sense stuff, I'm going to go through, okay, what are the steps? For when questions get more complicated, we are going to be able to solve them. All right? Now, the key thing with all these questions is this equal sign. All the questions have equal sign. The equal sign means, hey, both sides of the equal sign, so we have a left side and we have a right side, are equal to each other. Like, even though it doesn't look like the same, this side has a value of 6. This side also has a value of 6. That's what the equal sign means. And that's what the premise of this whole chapter is we got to keep the two sides equal. And what we need to do is figure out the value of the letter by getting rid of all the numbers on the same side of the letter. So the goal is always like, hey, focus on the side of the letter. Let's get rid of all these numbers over here. Sometimes there's one number, sometimes there's 2 numbers. At max, in grade 8, you'll have 3 numbers. Right? How do you get rid of those numbers? Right? And the key to get rid of those numbers is by doing something called opposite operations. So the word operation in math are our calculations, our BEDMAS calculations. So the main operations in grade 8 are adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Those are your math operations. Each one of those things has an opposite. Right? So for example, if adding is an operation, what would its opposite operation would be? Subtracting. So adding and subtracting are opposites of each other. Okay? And we have subtracting, therefore addition, it's opposite.
Wait, what does it say on the first one?
Subtracting. addition. Right? So then we go on to the next situation. We have multiplication. What's its opposite?
Division.
Division. Divide. Right? Then we have division. Therefore, its opposite is multiplication. All right. So we're going to use this opposite thing so much. All right. All right. So let's go over here. So Jaden right off the bat said the answer to this answer is 8, and that he is completely right. But we're going to go through the proper steps. And I know for you guys, because you saw the answer right away, you don't want to do the proper steps. But remember the grade 9 version. Right? So we go like this. First step, split at the equal sign. This side has a value of 13. So does this side have a value of 13? Right? So we go, but we want to figure out what this letter is without just using our head and go through the proper channel. So that means we need to get rid of this 5. And you always ask yourself the same question. Okay, if I want to get rid of this 5, what is the math operation between the 5 and the letter? You say one of 4 things: adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So what is the math operation between the 5 and the letter? Addition. And so to get rid of the 5, we always just do the opposite. So instead of adding, the opposite is subtracting. So we're going to subtract. We're going to subtract 5, like this. Okay? Right? Now, since both sides are equal, right? At the beginning step, this side is 13, this side is 13. We can't just take 5 from this side without doing anything over here, because then they won't be equal anymore. So if we take 5 off of this side, we also have to take 5 off of this side. Does that make sense? Right? So now what happens is 5, so don't worry about the letter. We have 5 minus 5 makes 0. Right? So those 5s disappear. You're left with just an S. And over here, we have 13 minus 5, which is Jaden's answer like 5 minutes ago, right? 8. But that is the steps we want to do, because it's going to get very complicated next year. But that's exactly what we're doing, just in more complicated situations. That's all we're doing. We're adding and subtracting to both sides, right? Just in more complicated situations, right? So we just need to get it cemented in our head so we can do the harder situations next year, right? So let's go back to our class. All right. Okay, so all these questions are going to look so much different. So what's consistent is the questions and the procedure you go through. Step 1, split at the equal sign. So your 2 sides are equal. That's your first step. Second step, focus on the side of the letter. Notice how I just cover this up. It really does help focus your mind. And you go, okay, I want to get rid of all the numbers on the same side of the letter. So in this case, I need to get rid of the 3. Okay? So if you know which number you're trying to get rid of, then you ask yourself the question, what is the math operation between the number and the letter? It's one of 4 things: adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. What is that math operation between the 3 and the x? Which one of those 4 is it? It is not dividing. So if you have 2 things touching, it's multiplying. Multiplying is the hardest one to spot, right? So if 2 things are touching, it's multiplying. You can draw the little dot in there if that really, really helps you, right? Now, okay, you know what the operation is. Now we got to do the opposite of multiplying. What's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So now we have to divide by 3. Now, this is what we're going to do. Last year, I know a lot of the grade 7 teachers go like this. Divide 3 like this. We're not going to do divide 3 like this. Okay? If you do divide 3 like this, which is fine for grade 8, honestly speaking, right? Because all your answers are nice whole numbers. But next year, your answers are fractions. And so that method of dividing 3 like that doesn't really work well. So instead of using that divide symbol like this, we are going to use our fraction symbol. Because a fraction symbol means divide as well, right? But it helps lead the answers to become fractions later on. So we go divide 3 like this. It means the same thing. So you go, okay, now if I change this side, I have to change the other side the same thing. So I go divide 3 here, I go divide 3 here. So if your page doesn't look symmetrical, that's a clue to you that you're making a mistake, right? You're trying to keep the things balanced. So whatever you do to one side, it has to be the other side. If it's not looking symmetrical, it won't be balanced, right? So now we do our cleanup. Now, we go 12 divided by 3 is what number? 4. But it's not quite 4. We have this negative sign here. You have negative 12 divided by negative 3. So a positive 3 is negative 4. Because remember, a positive and a negative makes a negative. So you got to know your multiplication rules, right? Remember, if you have a positive and a positive, the answer is positive. If you have a negative and a negative, the answer is positive. If you have a positive and a negative, the answer is negative. And the same rules apply for dividing. Exact same thing, right? Now, what happens on this side?
Drop the x down.
Yeah, so what we have is, remember our fractions unit, how we canceled numbers on the top and bottom? That's what we're doing here. A number on the top cancels a number on the bottom, right? So technically, 3 divided by 3 is 1x, but we don't show the 1 in front of x's as sort of variables, right? So there's an invisible one here. So you say it's equal to x, because the 3's disappear. 3 divided by 3 is 1, right? So when you were doing these questions, if you are multiplying and dividing, these also are pairs, we always are making ones. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, right? If you're adding and subtracting, we're making zeros to get the numbers to disappear. So if your calculation doesn't give you a 0 or a 1, you've picked the wrong operation or you're using the wrong number. It's all about zeros and ones. So you go, okay, does this make a 0? Yes, it's disappeared. Does it make it 1? Yes, it disappears. All right, it's all about zeros and ones. All right, let's look at this one. We split at the equal sign. We focus on the side of the letter. We need to get rid of this 2 over here. What is the math operation between the x and the 2?
What? Yeah,
Plus. Addition.
Addition. So what are we going to do?
subtract.
We're going to subtract the same number.
Yeah.
So we're going to subtract negative 2. And all of a sudden it's like, that's weird. All right, you have 2 negatives next to each other. So in these kind of situations, what I'm going to say is, in the original question, if you have 2 signs next to each other, combine them to make a single sign. Like these 2 signs can be a minus sign, right? So let's just rewrite this question as x minus 2 equals 20. That's much nicer to look at. We don't have double signs. Now when we focus on that side of the letter there, we want to get rid of that 2, right? We're subtracting. The opposite of subtracting is addition, right? And when we look at this, visually you look at that, you go, oh, minus 2 plus 2, yeah, that makes 0. That we've done it right, right? So we add 2 to the other side. Keep it symmetrical. It keeps it balanced, right? So now we do our cleanup. Negative 2 and positive 2 makes 0, so those go away. You have just an x. And what do we have left over on the other side? 22. And done. Not too bad, right? So the negatives are the ones that are going to make this chapter hard, right? It's not the steps. You know what the steps are going to be. There will be trickiness involved there. Okay. This question here. we split at the equal sign. Right? It doesn't matter where the letter is. We focus on the side of the letter. So this time I'm covering up this side here. We go, okay, I want to get the letter all by itself. So I keep using the word letter. Letters are variables. That's what they're called. Variables. Right? We go like this. You go, okay, I want to get rid of this 2. So, okay, you ask yourself the question, what is the math operation between the 2 and the letter? Between 2 and variable? Is it adding? Is it subtracting? Is it multiplying? Dividing? It's dividing. We have this fraction line here. All right? So, opposite of dividing is timesing. All right? So we're going to have to times by our number. So timesing by -2. Now, the location of where we write that times is really, really important. All right? So, bad habit from last year, students go times -2 like this. Because they want to put it close to this 2 because these things cancel each other out. That's not where we put it. Right? We're going to put it on the top. Times -2. When you're multiplying, it always gets multiplied to the top, to the numerator. All right? And we're going to do the same thing here. If we go times -2 over there, we're going to do times -2 over here. Okay? So, now we do our cleanup. On the left side, -2 times 10, what do we get? -20. On the other side, we do our cleanup. Yes, we times, but we're not going to do a times here, right? Remember, multiplying and dividing are just opposites of each other. Our goal is to get rid of this 2. We're going to do our same fraction trick. A number on the top cancels a number on the bottom. That's why we want it on the top, right? So these numbers go away, right? Notice if you didn't write down -2, the negative sign wouldn't go away. So it's important to copy that same number, right? And we're left with just an R. Okay? Not too bad? All right. So now, the good thing about this chapter is if you're willing to do a bit of extra work, you can always know if your answer is right or wrong. Right? So that's what we're going to do. One more question, and we'll call it quits for the day. Okay, so we go over here to the back page. We're going to do this question right here. Okay. We're going to solve it. All right. And get our answer. Then we're going to check if our answer is right. So if you're willing to do this extra work of checking, you can always know if you got 100% of the test or not. All right, so we split at the equal sign. Step 1. Step 2, cover up the side that doesn't have the letter. Figure out the number you want to get rid of. Ask yourself, what is the math operation between the 2 and the letter? Is it adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? What is it, Ava? Divide. We have a fraction line. A fraction line means divide. So we do the opposite of dividing, which is timesing to get rid of it. So you go times -2. Right? So we got to keep it symmetrical. Got to keep things balanced. If you go times -2 there, we got times -2 there. Now we just do our cleanup. A 2 on the top cancels a 2 on the bottom. Those go away. We're left with a W. On the other side, 6 times -2 is -12. Right? So we're saying their answer for W, its value is -12. Now, if you want to check to see if your answer is right, we can do these things called checks. Right? So we have an equal sign. That equal sign says, that, hey, the stuff on the left is equal to the stuff on the right. Right? So W over 2, or sorry, -2 is the original question, is equal to 6. So what we do is, well, we came up with our answer. Let's put our answer in. See if it gives us the answer 6. So we have -12 for W. So we take out the W, and we just write down -12. So we're going to take this W out and put down the number we came up with. We came up with the number -12. We stick that in. We go, okay. You have negative 12 over negative 2. So you divide the two numbers. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Two negatives make a positive, so the answer is positive 6. And look at it. It looks like the other side. Right? And then we go like this. We go, this is not necessary, but this is good practice for grade 11. Your LHS equals RHS. Maybe a little check mark. Right? LHS stands for left-hand side equals the right-hand side. So when you get to grade 11, you're going to have to do these things called proofs. You have to prove that this is the way it should look like. And you go one side makes it look like the other side, and you do this notation at the end. And you also do, ooh, I'm curious. When you get to really fancy proofs, you write down QED. Has anybody seen QED before? Jaden?
I saw it last year.
You saw it last year?
Yeah.
Does anybody know what it means? Nash, I thought I saw your hand go up too.
I've seen it, but I don't know what
Alright.
I don't know what it means. She didn't teach us. She was like never there. It's Miss Richards.
Okay, so QED is actually it's a Latin phrase. I actually forget what the letters stand for. It means this is how it has been demonstrated. Translated in English. So it has been demonstrated that the left side is equal to the right side. That's why it's a Latin phrase, and that's where it comes from. All right, and that's it.